Iran launched missile attacks on a U.S. military base in Qatar today, retaliating for the American bombing of its nuclear sites and escalating tensions in the already volatile region. Qatar condemned the attack on Al Udeid Air Base, but said it successfully intercepted the missiles and no casualties were reported. It said its airspace is now safe. Welcome, everyone, to 12 News at 1. I'm Tram Mai. Iran said the attack in Qatar matched the number of bombs dropped by the United States on its nuclear sites over the weekend, signaling its likely desire to de-escalate. Iran also said that it targeted the base because it was outside of populated areas. Iran announced the attack on state television as martial music played. A caption on screen called it a mighty and successful response to America's aggression. Qatar's foreign ministry said the attack by Iran's Revolutionary Guards was, quote, a flagrant violation of Qatar's sovereignty, its airspace, and international law. Meanwhile, the State Department has issued a travel warning for Americans traveling overseas. They're urging Americans to use worldwide caution for any travel. On their website, travel.state.gov, a statement reads this, quote, the conflict between Israel and Iran has resulted in disruptions to travel and periodic closure of airspace across the Middle East. There is the potential for demonstrations against U.S. citizens and interests abroad. The Department of State advises U.S. citizens worldwide to exercise increased caution, end quote. The last worldwide caution was issued in May of 2024. They asked travelers to check their website for any updates. So joining me now is travel agent Stephanie Rudsky. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
You know, this seemed a little alarming when you first hear about this, just being issued yesterday, the worldwide caution security alert. Explain exactly what this is and how serious is it?
So this is something that can come up any time of year. It can be something as simple as a natural disaster in a part of the country or the world. It could be in a large city where they're expecting a protest, or like we saw this past weekend, unfortunately, what happened overseas, a very, very high alert, just alerting that there were military attacks.
So, you know, obviously, travel to the Middle East should not happen.
Would not advise.
Okay, but what if you're traveling to other parts outside of the Middle East? How concerned should travelers be?
So whether we see one of these alerts or not, I always urge my clients, anyone thinking about traveling anywhere outside of the country, do your research. So on that travel.state.gov website that you had mentioned earlier, anyone can put in and access a country, and they're going to see different levels of advisory from 1 to 4. So I always urge people to take a look wherever you're planning on going and see, is it safe right now to go?
And obviously summer being the height of travel, so many families, so many people trying to get out and have fun during the season. What should travelers do, whether they're planning a trip, you know, around right now or next month? What should they do in order to prepare just in case?
Okay, my number one tip, whether the events that happened over the weekend occurred or not, is you need trip protection. You need some type of travel insurance because we don't know when these events are going to take place. So if you have a vacation or a trip planned and something happens that is outside of our control, you need to be protected.
Okay, good advice. Obviously have your passport.
Yes, so with a passport, most countries and cruises will require at least 6 months validity left on that passport. 6 to 12 months is honestly what I would recommend.
Okay.
And for a standard adult, they're good for 10 years. So I say once you're getting to that 9-year mark, it's time to start renewing that.
And you also say make copies of that passport.
I want everyone to make photocopies of their passport, multiple, and have them in different bags that they're taking with them. And also, we all have devices on us at this time.
Right.
Take a quick picture of it as well. Just be covered in case you lose it, something happens when you're outside of the country.
And no matter where you're going, check the country's website.
Absolutely. Yes, I always recommend that. Check our United States, the travel.state.gov website, but let's say you're going to Canada or Mexico, they all have their own government travel sites. I always recommend looking at what they have to say.
There's also, you know, not just what you said, you know, the country's website, but there's a number of other very valuable websites as well that people should check too.
Sure. Another one outside of the travel.state.gov would be it's kind of within that website. So there is one where you can actually enroll and get travel updates.
Okay.
So I highly urge people to enroll in that. That one is called the
Step?
Yes,
Okay.
Step.
Yeah.
So that one is going to give you updates as needed if anything changes, because you can have a trip planned yesterday,
Right.
and something can change by tonight.
And I've done that before where, when you enroll, it's good to know because they know, actually, the government will know exactly where you're staying. I mean, you have to put in everything, your flight information, where you're staying, just in case if something happens, they know where you're at.
The process takes about 20 minutes, and it's just well worth it for peace of mind.
It really is. All right, Stephanie, I know we're going to have another interview with you in the next
we are.
half hour, so
Yes, I
thanks
look
so
forward to
much
it.
for
Of
this.
course.